What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Career Mode. This is episode number 7. We're starting today's sort of officially ending season 1, where we are up to the Serie A with the Serie B title as well. I want to show you this real briefly. Cagnano is getting released. Now you might not know who this guy is, and I wouldn't blame you. He only played 2 games all season long, but this is where my frustration at times kind of lies with FIFA CM and the lack of growth heading into a new season. So Bamba, who was one of my players of the year last season, played almost every single game for me and scored 3 goals as well, including some really important ones as my centre-half, grew 4 ratings. Cagnano, several years older, only played twice all season long, grows 2 ratings. So Bamba, despite his quality last year, is only worthy of slightly more growth than a player that only played 2 times all season long. What? Come on, EA. But even so, as the new season does begin, well, as you will see if you watch the season finale, I did predict this. Yes, we are heading to the Serie A, but, well, we've got basically no players, and we've also got no money whatsoever. Oh my goodness. So, on the back of loan deals expiring, players being released, we've got 18 players and no goalkeepers. I don't think I've ever had a situation like this before. An 18-man squad with not a single goalkeeper in my team. £5 million, not even that, for the summer budget. Well, now, Docksy boy, what are you made of? What can you pull out of the hat this time with basically no money whatsoever? Yep, I said we'd be operating on a shoestring budget. We've barely even got that. It's more like a half of a shoestring budget. Very little money to work with. And the smallest squad I've ever began a new season with. 18. 18! We ain't even got a resi! So, right then, heading into the new season, the question is, what are we going to do? How am I going to make this work? With basically no money whatsoever, we can't really bring anyone in on permanent deals, and no depth at all. Quite literally, not a single player in terms of depth in this squad. Well, to begin with, I thought, okay, well, fair enough. I think there's only one position I need to worry about to begin with, and that's get a new goalkeeper in. Obviously, we had 2 players on loan last year, including our main shot stopper, Gomes. They've both returned. So Daniele Padelli, Como Academy graduate, who I was scouting last season, was released in the summer, and I've bought him back. And then I thought, okay, youth squad. What's the best way to get depth into your team without spending any money? Youth players. Yep, bring those youth players into the first team. Sergio Colombo is now 16 years old. Finally, we've waited a long time for him to turn 16. That sounds a lot dirtier out loud than it did in my mind. But Sergio Colombo, we have promoted him to the first team at 16 years old, and he does get given a pro deal. 68 rated, so already a really decent squad player for us, and he'll come into our first team to add a little bit of depth. Following that, bid for Lucas Collar, obviously turned down. I can't sell anyone, guys. I ain't got any money, so obviously I ain't got any depth here, so of course he's staying. And then I thought about what I discussed back at the very start of the series. Do you remember when I said Cesc Fabregas came to Como? And I didn't even realise Como had a professional team nowadays until Cesc Fabregas signed there. Well, we want players that are going to raise the profile of this club and make us more marketable. Here's a player that could definitely do that. Released by Juventus in the summer. Many caps for Brazil. Spent 8 years playing in the Serie A in Turin. Well, he's not going to need to move far, being in North Italy, to come from Turin to Como. Welcome to Como. Alexandro, yeah, really happy with his signing. I saw he was released by Juventus. I already had a full scout report on the guy, and I was like, right, bring him in. There's not going to be that many good free agents available for me. And I say good free agents, I mean really class free agents, 80 plus rated this season. And I do want to do things semi-realistically as well. But Alexandra, I thought, was a great fit for us here. Because, again, he's been living in Turin for close to a decade. Released by Juventus in the summer. Doesn't want to leave Northern Italy. Well, you can stay here. You don't need to uproot your family. You can stay right here in North Italy. Just take a small trip to Como, about 150, 200 miles. Come over to Como. And you can play your remaining years here. next to the fabulous late Como. 32 years old. He's probably only got 2 or 3 years left on him. So 2-year deal, I think it was for Alexandro. And he'll help raise the profile of the club, and he'll go straight into our first team as well. And crucially, what's really good about this is that he's a left-sided player that can replace this guy, Alex Blanco. Blanco's deal up come the end of the season. I'm probably going to sell him, hopefully to Spain for the realism, but Alexandro comes in, and despite the fact he's a left-back by trade, and it seems as though he's playing slightly out of position at left midfield, there's no reason why he couldn't work there with good stamina, decent enough pace, and technically really good both going forward and defensively as well. I could also potentially see him becoming a ball-playing centre-half as an LCB in his final year or two. Even so, following that, as you will see, we decided to pick up another freebie because, again, with basically no money to work with whatsoever. For this summer, really all I can do is pick up players on free agents or possibly on loans. But this is a player that will be joining us and also staying in Italy as well. Roberto Gagliardini, released by Inter Milan in the summer. And as you'll see, 29 years old, holding midfielder. To me, with the range of stats he's got here, I personally do believe he could be a BPD. No doubt about that. Okay, fair enough. He's not the strongest. He certainly can't jump. But he is 6'2", so he's got enough of a good base height on him and really good pass through the ball and excellent defensive stats as well. So in our back three, obviously, we need players that are good and comfortable on the ball to get the ball forward to our midfield four. Gagliardini can definitely do that role as a BPD. So he is in as Roberto signs on a free transfer. And the freebies would need to continue because, like I said, you see in the top left there, my budget continues to deplete because we're picking players up on contracts that we normally wouldn't be able to afford to give, but we can't afford a transfer fee to go along with the wages as well. So right now we're stuck on just giving out decent contracts to freebies to lure them to Como. Another one of those Italians that will be staying here in the Serie A, Riccardo Saponara. Yep, released by Fiorentina, 31 years old now, but this guy has real technical ability and we're definitely going to need that this season. He's a left winger by trade. With his range of stats and a lack of pace, there's no doubt about it. He'd be much better playing through the middle. As a CAM, he could definitely replace Acuna, but I actually think maybe, just maybe, he could be a partner for Cutrone. The reason why Pat and Mancuso worked so well last season is that they both knew their roles. Cutrone was the goal scorer, Mancuso was the goal creator, winning the assist title. To me, Saponara could possibly play as a centre forward alongside Cutrone. Even so, we did make a rare sale. Daniele Baselli went to FC20 for just over £1.1 million. Totally fine with that though, because again, he is in the final year of his contract and in his 30s now as well. Not going to get a new deal. I was totally fine letting him go, because we are looking for players to replace him with free agents as well, so we can save a little bit of money and look for players that are a little bit younger as well. But speaking of freebies, as the new sign is continued on free agent deals, as I'm trying to work my magic here in this summer transfer window on a shoestring budget, I did pick up a really good young talent, Dennis Martinelli, 5'11", so just slightly under 6 foot, but centre half, low high work rate, 72 rated, 17 years old, already some really decent stats with 81 strength, very solid indeed, and he shows great potential as well. So as we improve our defense, I did say this season that would be my main target due to how fragile and flimsy we were last season. Gagliardini coming in as a BPD and some good experience. Alexandro on that left hand side to be much more defensively solid than Alex Blanco was last year, and now a good young talent in Martinelli as well. We also sold Farago. He's gone to Vitesse for, I think it was £720,000, so totally fine with that. Like I said, if a player has his deal up come the end of the year, I am okay selling him because there's a lot of free agents available out there, so we should be able to replace them on similar wages, but also players with slightly higher quality to play in the Serie A as well. And following that, I changed the positions of Saponara and also Gagliardini as well. They both grew by a rating each here as Roberto becomes an official BPD, if you will, now up to 75 overall, and Saponara as an official CAM as well. So yeah, we changed their positions there in their advancing years as they learn new roles in this new look Como team. So following that, August would come and we would take a look at our youth squad. To be fair, it's looking alright, to be fair. A couple of really good players here. Gabriel Graf, a young Swiss holding mid, looks really decent indeed. We've got a really good young centre-half there as well. And following that, we had a bid here for Liam Kerrigan, Irish youngster, 23 years old. Wigan Athletic put a bid in and we're going to sell him back to the northwest of England for just shy of £1 million. Following that, we had a bid for Ionu as well, who was our Cypriot defender, who we converted from LB to CB last season. Because of the amount of depth we've now got a CB, I'm okay selling this guy. 71 rated, and now be like 4th, 5th, even 6th choice centre-half, thinking about it, as I really like the youngster Wisdom Amy from Bologna that we picked up as well. We're going to sell him to Empoli for £2 million, and that to me is a pretty decent sale there, considering the depth we've got at centre-half right now. But in terms of new signings, as the free agents would continue to be lured to Como, well, I thought this would be a really good pickup for us here. After selling a couple of CMs, including Farago and also Baselli as well, we've converted Gagliardini to centre-half, so I needed a new central midfielder to play alongside our captain Belimo. I think this guy looks really solid. Ole Christian Selnaes. Is that how you pronounce that? Please correct if I'm wrong, Scandinavian fans. But even so, picked up on a free transfer on £11,000 a week, 29 years old. And look at the stamina. 85, yes, very good indeed. Physically really well balanced and also technically as well, really solid too. 6'2", and all across the board, this guy is really solid with very little weak spots. So coming in, he'll be a really good CM to play alongside Belimo as our captain. And as the free agents continue to tumble, this is all I could do. I couldn't afford to pay a transfer fee to anyone. All I could do is pick up players on freebies. I found another good young Italian player, Alberto Villa, 19 years old, 69 rated. We pick up this young talent here. Disappointedly, as you'll see, unlike Martinelli, despite having a decent starting overall and still being a teenager, he doesn't have any potential tag whatsoever. That's a bit of a shame, but I do feel as though this guy could be a really, really good young striker. Despite the fact he's listed as a winger, I think with the range of stats he's got here, he could be a really good striker. Already 70 finishing, 66 attacking position as well. I think, yeah, he could become a striker. He's already got a bit of strength about him and a lot of pace as well. So we'll convert him to striker. It would take about half a year, I'd say, but he looks to me like he could be a pretty decent pressing forward, if you will, with a good high defensive work rate on him as well. You know, that's really important to me, players with high defensive work rates. So on the back of selling the Cypriot Ionu to Empoli for £2 million, plus the season ticket money as well, we had just shy of £5.5 million. So I feel as though at this point I was doing some pretty decent business here, picking up free transfers, selling on some players who are squad players at best or in the final years of their contract. And as the sales continued here, I ended up selling Luca Vignali, who, to be fair, I didn't play much last season, but I do like his stats. 27 years old, 68 rated, and some fantastic stamina as well. But because of Lucas down that right-hand side and now Colombo getting a pro deal as well, we're not going to play him at all this season. So I sold him to the Hawthorns for £1.5 million. He's off to play for the Baggies. We'll take the £1.5 million fee. That raises our budget even more so as Vignali goes to West Bromwich Albion. And in terms of new signings, I was thinking, right, I've got an okay backline. My midfield's improved a little bit as well. But do I really want Daniele Padelli at 37 years old to be my starting goalkeeper in the Serie A this year? Well, I definitely need a new goalkeeper regardless, because I can't just have one goalkeeper. And then I thought, do you know what? I think we've got enough money now to make one permanent transfer for this summer window. And the player I wanted, Elia Caprile. Yep, you've probably come across him at some point if you play this year's FIFA CM. He's a really good young talent, once of Leeds United, playing for Bari. They're stuck in the Serie B, but I said to Elia, I was impressed when we played against you last season, even though I think there was one game we put 4 past him. I said, why don't you want to come to the Serie A and be our starting goalkeeper for all the years you're here at Como? 21 years old, 73 rated, We picked him up for a cut price deal because I included a big sell-on clause for Caprile for Barry, knowing that I'll never sell him. He's going to be my number one for all the years we're here, I'm sure. And Elliot Caprile is in, and the thing that really drew to him, 77 kicking. Yep, fantastic kicking stat, which you know for me is really, really important. I need my goalkeepers good on the ball as solid sweeper keepers. Caprile is in club record fee, I believe, alongside Ibrahim Bamba, but he signs a 5-year deal, and I'm sure he'll be our number one for the remainder of the save. Buzzing with that signing right there. So following that, we had a bid for Jacopo da Riva, which I'm okay letting him go to CFR Cluj because he doesn't really have much potential, I believe. Barely played him last season either. And also Alex Blanco, I did say I was going to try and sell him to Spain for the realism. We rejected a bid from Copenhagen, but Osasuna put in a bid for Alex Blanco, and I thought, you know what, quite realistic there. You know, a couple of years here at Como, he's done okay, but a chance for him to go back to his native Spain. In the end, I accepted a £2.8 million bid, and he's going to go back to Osasuna. Now we've got Alexandra on that left-hand side. He's going to drop to the bench, and I do like him, don't get me wrong, but I feel as though now it's time to let him move on and go back to Spain. But after the signing of Caprile, it was back to moving in the free agent market, and I could not believe that after about 7 weeks, no one had decided to pick this guy up. In terms of high-profile names, we've already got Alexandro, but this guy can also really improve the marketability of Como. In real life, he's just signed for Werder Bremen. He's back in the Bundesliga, but in the save, I was waiting for a club to pick him up, and primarily a Bundesliga club, hopefully for the realism, but no one was interested. So I thought, you know what? If no one wants him, I will take him. Yup, from Leipzig to Liverpool, you know who he is. Released by the Reds, and he's now coming not to the Weserstadion, but to Como. Welcome to Como 1907. Guinea-Bissau International. Naby Keita, yes, buzzing with this signing here. Like I said, I wanted to sign some players that can raise the profile of Como, but nothing too unrealistic. You know, like Lionel Messi coming in would be ridiculous, of course, but Naby Keita is one that I definitely could see being quite realistic. We're a new club now in the Serie A. We're a picturesque city with the beautiful Lake Como as well. Naby Keita, central midfielder, like Cesc Fabregas. I mean, at 28 years old, he's still got it, don't get me wrong, but Liverpool fans will know he's got problems with injuries, no doubt about that, but coming here to raise the profile of the club, but also playing a really picturesque location in Como as well. I thought that was quite realistic there. No one was going to pick him up, so I said, you know what, if Werder Bremen don't want him, I'll take him. Naby Keita is in, and like Alexander, he can help raise the profile and the marketability of our club due to being really marketable players that have both played for big, worldwide known clubs in recent years. So, following that, as you'll see, Alex Blanco does go to Osasuna, and Jacopo also leaves as well. So that raises our budget up a little bit more, but there's still not a lot to work with. So, as we have improved the squad depth a little bit, we're up to 21 man now, so it's still quite small, but a little bit. We're still not done in terms of transfer business yet, but we'll most likely continue with free agents between now and the end of the summer window. It was time for our first game in the Serie A with Como, and it wasn't going to be an easy one. Yet we travelled to the south of Italy, to the beautiful city of Naples, to take on Napoli at the Stadio San Paolo. Last year's Serie A winners in real life, taking them on away from home here. On the first day, just hoping for a point, really, and that'll do me just fine. It was a really tough beginning. Napoli had all the early running, as you expect, with their really star-studded team, including Gavi now signing as well, Emil Smith-Rowe from Arsenal. But it was a player that stayed there since the save began. Yep, Victor Osimhen, moving on from Lille, the Nigerian international, gives Napoli the lead. Disappointing goal to concede there. Wasn't quick enough getting the ball away with Ibrahim Bamba, and in the end, the save that was made from Caprile counted for nothing. Napoli take the lead, and 4 minutes after the restart, a chance to make it 2, and it was their 2 new signings that would link up. Gavi in from Barcelona, and Emil Smith-Rowe got the goal in from Arsenal as well. 2-0 Napoli, and in the end, the game would finish with a 2-0 scoreline. So, yeah, tough start there. Exactly what I was expecting. Very little positives whatsoever. So for the following game, back home, now we took on the champions. Like last year, you would have seen Fiorentina were the Serie A winners. So I was thinking, okay, tough start to the season, but I think we could possibly get a point here. First game here at Como. Let's try and get ourselves a point, possibly a clean sheet, and a decent result for our first game here at Como this season. Oh, we almost took the lead as well, 12 minutes in. Lovely little build-up there as VR, getting his first start for the club, fires wide. A nice build-up, it was still 0-0. Caprile made a couple of really good saves in the early stage as well to keep Fiorentina at bay. Good save early from range, then denying Bonaventura from just inside the area. Still 0-0 with 5 minutes to go, clinging on to a very good clean sheet and point, which I would definitely take. Trying to see the game out, trying to see the point out, a really good result against the champions. In the end, our hearts were broken. Yep, Fiorentina won it with one of the final kicks of the game. Barak drills one in from 20 yards, and the champions win it in the final stages. Final score, Como 0, Fiorentina 1. And that would mean our first 2 games, back-to-back losses. Yeah, tough start. Welcome to the Serie A, Como. Ridiculously small squad, not a great team either. There is going to be a lot of games like those two this season where we are really, really fighting for a point at the very, very most. So following that, deadline day would come, and I was kind of annoyed about this because, well, basically, Mancuso, I thought we haven't scored a goal in our first 2 games, haven't really got close to scoring apart from that Villa chance there. Maybe I could do with a new forward up top alongside Pat. I went in for Mancuso. He was my only real target up top to bring him back after his great year last year. And the Monza manager just walked out. I was like, what? It's deadline day. We've only got 10 hours, mate. Don't go back. There's not enough time. Stay with me. But I couldn't keep him in the room. So he left. And that meant that my only real target to partner Pat had now gone. So I thought, okay, in which case, let's tighten up our defense then instead. And I ended up bringing in, from Werder Bremen, Chiarodia. Fabio Chiarodia, born in Germany, but a youth international for Italy. 18 years old, 65 rated. Like I said, we want to improve the depth of this team as well. And Fabio is an exciting prospect as well. So really happy about that. I don't know how many seasons Roberto will spend as our starting centre-half alongside Ibrahim as well. So Fabio coming in gives us more depth in that CB area and also someone to look out for in the future as well. For a small transfer fee, out of contract come the end of the season, I'll definitely take that as the 18-year-old signs. And following that, I did look at the possibility of bringing in an Italian wonder kid. Profundi from Udinese, already capped by Italy, I believe, at such a young age. I did consider bringing him in on deadline day. I didn't have the full scout report, but I know he's one of the best young Italian players in the game. But I thought for realism, probably not. I mean, you know, Udinese last year survived comfortably in the Serie A. They're a much better team than we are. He's an academy graduate, Udinese. Why would he leave to come and play for us at Como when he's still getting the game time there at Udinese and he's already been capped by Italy as well? Realistically, I didn't think it made sense. But this one did. Stefano Storaro released in the summer. I had this guy before in an FM save. He was very aggressive, but I picked him up on a free transfer just to add more squad depth in a very small squad. And with over £2 million remaining in the budget, I decided to do something interesting in the final few hours, and that was not spend it. Yeah, despite only having 24 players in this squad, very small squad, and a lack of real quality as well, I decided not to make any more moves and leave the team as is. 2 games, no goals, 2 defeats, a small squad, and not much quality either. But I didn't decide to panic. Nope, I believe we'll be good enough to be out of the bottom 3 come Christmas time, and that'll mean that in January we'll have some money to play with as we look some cut price deals or maybe players on expiring contracts we can pick up for the following season. We're up to 3.5 star. We have improved our team. 11 new signings for the summer window, but after a tough beginning, it's a long way to go. But we'll need to crack on and get some points on the board if we are to be out of the bottom 3 come Christmas time, which will be my main aim. But that will end today's episode of the Summer Career, guys. Big fan. Hope you enjoyed it. If you had, then please drop a like. So you'll have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Summer Career Mode very soon.